It's AR the Equalizer, the data scientist of boxing, spinning the block for another breakdown. Let's get into it. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the overall skill set of Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue. Yes, the 3-division world champion and the former undisputed bantamweight world champion, having held the WBA, IBF Ring Magazine titles between 2019 and January 2023, and the WBC and WBO titles between 2022 and January of 2023. Right? This guy is considered as top 3 pound for pound talent on many boxing journalists, websites, and amongst many boxing journalists who cover the sport. And I'll just jump out the gate and say that I wouldn't rate Inoue as high as top 3 pound for pound, but I would definitely say that he's top 10, and he is tremendous. His talent is superb. He has the potential to be this generation's Manny Pacquiao. Fighting style wise, he's a little bit more calculated than Manny Pacquiao. He's not as high volume. He can go toe to toe, he can trade, he has those capabilities, but he's much more of a thinker in that ring. He's much more patient. Excuse me, looking for his openings. He's not rushing in, looking for the knockout. He's patient enough to wait for his shots to be set up. But even with all of that said, I still feel like he could be this generation's Manny Pacquiao. Reason being is he started his career as light flyweight, right? Like that's super light to super flyweight to bantamweight, and now super bantamweight, in which he will be facing off against Cool Boy Stephen Fulton Jr. July 25th over in Japan, in his backyard, in Inoue's backyard. It's going to be a tremendous fight. But with no further ado, I definitely want to get into the breakdown of Naoya Inoue's skill set. If you're familiar with the channel, we break down elite boxers' skill set with 4 skill pillars, which we have boxing form, we have physical capabilities / conditioning, we have intangibles, and strategy execution. The first skill pillar we're going to break down of Inoue is boxing form, which I rated at a 91.50%, which is a solid A- overall. For if we're to look into the skill components, we have boxing stance, proper footwork, hand positioning for defense and offensive attacks, proper punch form. Those are the skill components that make up the skill pillar of boxing form. The first skill component we'll break down, which is boxing stance. I have rated for Inoue at a 91%, an A- for he does have the elite stability of foundation from the orthodox stance, right? From the orthodox stance. Boxing stance is pretty much, as I stated, it's your stability. How stable are you? Do you get pushed around when there's resistance that your opponent is giving you? Do you maintain a good posture walking around the ring, moving around the ring? What is your foundation like? How is your foundation in sync with the punches that you throw? How is your foundation in sync with your defense, right? I see Naoya Inoue's ability to maintain a proper boxing stance throughout the course of a 12-round fight as elite. Just because it's 91% does not mean that it's a slight. It's not saying that it's terrible. It's not good enough. No, that's elite company. Anytime you have a 90 plus rating in any category, it's always elite. It's always amongst the best. In this department of boxing stance, I see Naoya Inoue's boxing stance as elite, amongst the best. Amongst the best. We'll move on to the next skill component of the skill pillar of boxing form, which is proper footwork. And I've rated at a 90%, solid A-. For Inoue has the elite understanding of foot positioning for effective counterpunching and setups for power shots or opponent strength neutrality. I mean, if we're to look at his resume, he's faced some decent champions, but I will put this disclaimer out there. In my opinion, Naoya Inoue's resume, it isn't the most outstanding. With the eye test, we see that this guy is amazing, right? Just like how we gauge Vasyl Lomachenko, we seen the footwork and the foot speed of Lomachenko and the hand speed and the vast experience, the 396 amateur wins, just one loss. Like, we were enamored with all of these stats and everything, and we put Vasyl Lomachenko on a pedestal. Many boxing writers, boxing analysts, boxing journalists saying that Vasyl Lomachenko at the time when he was a prime guy, that he was pretty much the best thing since sliced bread. Top fighter, top boxer, pound for pound in the world, you know, regardless of not having a steep resume and pretty much cutting the line of qualified guys at the time, right? And I feel like it's the same sentiment, it's the same effect with Naoya Inoue. The eye test is amazing. His punching power, his hand speed, everything that he does in the ring is tremendous. It's refreshing to see for bantamweight, super bantamweight, even coming all the way from the flyweight weight division. It's amazing. It's refreshing to see it. It brings us back to the memory of Manny Pacquiao. Can he really punch up? Can he really take it to the next level? That's what we want to see. So it's a lot of hype, and me rating his footwork at 90%, A-, is good for what I see. It's good. I give it, it's elite. It's elite. Nothing more. You know what I mean? Nothing less. Definitely nothing less. It's elite. But his resume, the only guys that truly stand out to me as opponents that offered much resistance to him was Jason Maloney and Nonito Donaire. And this isn't to discredit any other opponent that he's faced, but the talent pool at the time of him fighting in the flyweight division and the bantamweight divisions, it wasn't steep. If you compare the flyweight weight divisions and the bantamweight division to a lightweight, super lightweight, welterweight, junior middleweight, middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, and the list goes. If you're to compare those talent pools in those weight divisions that I just named to flyweight, bantamweight, it's not even close. It's not even close, man. But still, to have Naoya Inoue in the company of the pound for pound conversation, to even be rating him, you know, high in these skill components and everything. And this is just a disclaimer. To rate him this high, it goes to show that he passes the eye test very well. He passes the eye test very well, and he will be tested July 25th to see exactly where he stands on that pound for pound list. But with that said, I have him rated 90% proper footwork. For, like I said, he has the elite understanding of foot positioning for effective counterpunching and setups for power shots. Period. Moving on to the next skill component, we have hand positioning for defense and offensive attacks, which I rated at an 88%, a solid B+. For it's not to say that Inoue is invincible. He's not. He's hittable. He's hittable. He has great understanding of punch retraction for defense against counterpunch openings, whether, you know, in the high guard or he's moving around. He's moving around to get away, you know, to get out of the way from the offensive attack of his opponent. It's great. But like I said, because of the resume not being steep, we haven't really seen Inoue truly tested outside of the first fight against Nonito Donaire, who was, in my opinion, the only guy who offered some true resistance to Inoue's ability to pretty much do what he wants in the ring with whoever is in front of him. So that being said, 88% for hand positioning for Naoya Inoue. Moving on to the next skill component, we have proper punch form, which I rated at a 97%, a solid A. 3 basis points from 100%. Some may say that I'm sliding him, I'm underrating, I'm undershooting him, not giving him his proper just due. I get it. I get it. Feel me? I get it. At 122 pounds, right? At 122 pounds today, Naoya Inoue, this would be his 4th weight class. At 122 pounds, this will be his 4th weight class, right? His 4th weight class, in which July 25th, he's possibly facing, well, he is, ain't no possibly, he's facing the best competition that he's faced probably in his entire life. And he has a deep amateur resume. He's fought internationally. He's won, you know, gold medals for the AIBA, the International Boxing Association, in the amateurs. So he's been fighting his whole life. But against Stephen Fulton, he'll face his toughest competition July 25th. That being said, the punch form, it's amazing with the eye test, seeing him train, seeing him work the heavy bag, seeing him shadow box is tremendous. I see greatness. I see greatness in it. I see greatness. 97 is good company. Is good company to be in the department of proper punch form. Why isn't it 100%? I'll say it respectfully, I need to see more. I need to see more against grade A competition. Some will say, well, he's faced champions. That's cool. Facing a champion is cool. That's the whole goal of this boxing thing, is to be a champion, is to beat champions, is to be is to beat world beaters, to be a world beater. But when the talent pool isn't deep, it's hard to gauge how official it really is. But Inoue has superior and consistent routine of rotating fists for proper snap of punch in tandem with torso and hip rotation to properly distribute power and force of punch. It's there. It's there. The guy, he's great at what he does. The punch form is great. You can tell that he's been fighting a long time, because pretty much everything in this skill pillar of boxing form, it's all elite. It's all elite. Even his hand positioning is good. You know, some would get mad at me for rating it at 88%, but that's still high. Because you have to remember, this is an all-time scale. I'm measuring these skill components to every fighter who ever laced up the gloves, whether amateur or the greatest Hall of Fame fighter ever. Regardless of weight classes, I'm measuring it up against everyone to truly see who's pound for pound. That's how I see pound for pound. Heavyweights included. It's about skill. For the heavyweights were excluded back in the day because the pound for pound list was originally made for the likes of a Sugar Ray Robinson, Willie Pep, Homicide Hank, Henry Armstrong, those guys. It was created for the smaller guys to give them credit because the heavyweights dominated boxing way back since boxing even was a thing. The heavyweights always dominated. It wasn't until recent generations, I wouldn't even say the 1980s because the heavyweights still ran the sport of boxing, but it wasn't until the Floyd Mayweather generation, the Floyd Mayweather era, that the smaller guys really start getting the eyes that the heavyweights got. You know what I mean? So me looking at the pound for pound, I'm always rating skill, whether you're a heavyweight or whether you're a flyweight, whether you're a minimum weight. I don't care. I'm rating skill. I'm measuring Naoya Inoue's skill up to everyone who's ever laced up the gloves. Some of you may not agree with it. It goes over your head. You can't get with it because you've been told by the boxing pundits for so long that the heavyweights can't be rated with the smaller weight classes, in which I disagree. They can, because boxing skill is boxing skill, period. We'll move on to the next skill component, which is the next skill pillar, which is physical capabilities / conditioning, which I rated 88.85% for Naoya Inoue, which is a solid B. For the skill components that make up this skill pillar of physical capabilities is stamina, endurance, overall strength, punching power, hand speed, foot speed, and punch resistance. The first skill component we'll look at for this skill pillar is stamina, which I rated a 95%, a solid A for Inoue. For he has amazing lung capacity for high volume punching and movement around the ring. It's amazing. You'll rarely see the guy get tired in exchanges. It looks like he can go all night long. Why isn't it 100%? As I said before, is more to be desired against someone who's really going to offer that resistance. And the only gauging stick that we really have of Inoue being pushed to the limit is against Nonito Donaire, the first fight. Not the second one where he stopped him, the first fight, where it went the full 12 rounds and there was resistance, jaws broken and everything. You know what I mean? Still, nonetheless, 95% in the stamina department for Inoue. Amazing. Next, we'll move on to the next skill component of the physical capability skill pillar, which is endurance, which I rated 90%, A-. For Inoue has the durability to last throughout a 12-round fight whilst maintaining energy. Why isn't it 100%? I don't give away A+ 100% loosely, because this is an all-time scale. This is an all-time measurement. How I measure Inoue's endurance to the endurance of those throwback heavyweights, to the endurance of an Ali, the endurance of a Joe Frazier, the endurance of a Joe Louis, the endurance of a Lennox Lewis, the endurance of a Vander Holyfield, the endurance of Floyd Mayweather, the endurance of a Sugar Ray Leonard, the endurance of a Sugar Ray Robinson, the endurance of a Bernard Hopkins, the endurance of a Andre Ward, the endurance of a Joe Calzaghe, the endurance of a Roy Jones Jr. How I measure Inoue's endurance to these great warriors who've gone 12 rounds against stiff competition. It's not up there. It's not up there because I haven't seen much of a push against Inoue from the best competition. But we will see July 25th. That being said, I'm still rating them in an elite class. For A- is amazing. If you have a 90 in endurance, if you have an A- in the department of endurance, you can go 12 rounds and maintain your energy. But once it dips below 85, you might not endure that long. You might begin to fade around round 10. That's just how I'm a realist. I'm really a data scientist when it comes to this thing. Follow me. We'll move on to the next skill component, which is overall strength. I have rated for Inoue at a 77%, which is a solid C. And many of you may disagree with this sentiment, but I have to go there. His heaviest weight class is 122 pounds. Now, that's not the weight that he walks around at, but that's his heaviest weight class, 122 pounds. If we're measuring overall strength on an all-time scale, regardless of weight classes, it's no way it can be anything remotely close to a 90 or, you know, the strength that a heavyweight has, the strength that even a middleweight has. Naoya Inoue, he could punch up. I believe he can jump up a few more weight classes if he wanted to. He can punch up, but the higher he go, he'll reach a peak to where he won't be able to muscle guys, and in fact, he'll start to get muscled himself. Why? Because there's weight classes for a reason. In no way am I saying that Inoue can get in there with a Tyson Fury and try to see if he can muscle him up. No way am I saying that. I'm just measuring the overall strength on a real scale, right? Realistically, regardless of weight class. This is not to say that his overall strength is average against guys in his weight class. Because guys in his weight class, I may rate at a low D. Like, it's, you know what I mean? That may be the average percentile for the 122 pounders is a D, is in the 60 range, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm really scientific when it comes to this, realistic. With Inoue, if you ask me, he's the strongest bantamweight that I possibly ever seen. You know what I'm saying? 77 strength for a bantamweight is nuts. He's the strongest bantamweight that I ever seen, even stronger than Manny Pacquiao as far as overall strength goes. Now, it could be debated who's stronger at that weight, but I take Inoue all day over Pacquiao in overall strength at 122 pounds. You heard me right. You heard me right. But can that 77% go up against a 86% of a Terrence Crawford at 147 pounds? It's no way. Terrence Crawford a muscle Inoue all day long. Though Inoue is strong, Inoue, he can hold his own, right? But there's weight classes for a reason. Inoue, he has the capability to utilize body weight and strength to stand against clinches and inside fighting, measured against guys in his weight class. He does his thing. He doesn't get muscled. He's always the stronger guy in that ring with guys around his weight. But if we're talking about moving up, hypothetically, he'll get muscled himself. So I have him rated at a 77% solid C. Moving on to the next skill component, we have punching power. Punching power, which I rated at 84%, a solid B for Naoya Inoue. This skill component is one punch, knockout power, measurement, and capability. Bruising and damaging capability. He has those capabilities. On a scale from 0 to 100, what's the probability, right? What's the probability of him either damaging a guy to where the fight can't go on, or stopping the guy with one punch? What are those probabilities? His percentage, his knockout percentage ratio statistically is 88% as it stands today. As it stands June 27th of 2023. As it stands of June 27th of 2023, His knockout ratio percentage is 88%. I rate his punching power 84. Punching power, knockout ratio, two different things. Knockout ratio has everything to do with the guys that's in front of you. For the majority of boxers, the first quarter of their career, they're all tune-up fights. Your pro debut, that's a tune-up fight. You're going up against a journeyman. You're being matched against people who are not on your level, so that you can get comfortable in the pro ranks, right? The prize fighter. So the prize fighter can get comfortable in the pro ranks, not having a headgear, fighting with smaller gloves, and being able to stand up against those who have more experience. So the more fights you have, the tougher the competition is supposed to get. But like I said, up against, you know, these 118 pounders, the 112 pounders, and that competition is not steep at all. I mean, you probably have one or two guys that's a challenge, but with Inoue's ability, capability, and skill, no one has been on his level. Every match has been a blowout, except Nonito Donaire. I have his punching power rated at an 84% solid B. He could punch up. Inoue, he can go up to lightweight and still be able to crack. But as you continue to go up that ladder of those weight classes, that punching power may not translate, because the higher the weight class, the heavier the punchers, the more the strength. You guys just have to follow me and detox your brains, detox your minds from what these boxing journalists have told you over the years about what's pound for pound. I know what their definition of pound for pound is, but this is the real pound for pound. You heard? We'll move on to the next skill component, which is hand speed. I have Naoya Inoue rated at a 96%, which is a solid A4. He has extraordinary physical speed of punches thrown with 8-ounce gloves. Extraordinary speed. Extraordinary. His one-punch speed, his combinations, they're crisp. It got the zip on them. It got the zip on them. And it's coming with velocity and force. For his weight, for his size, that is devastating. It's a nightmare. For someone to deal with the punching power that he has and the speed that he has, it's a nightmare. Every punch has pop. And he's smart and calculated, which is why so many rate him as the #1 pound for pound guy in the world. I don't, but he has speed that can put your lights out at those weight classes, bantamweight, flyweight, can put your lights out. But as he punch up and go up in weight, of course he won't be able to do that to the heavier guys, but still, that speed, that velocity is sharp. And it carries over. I believe it can carry over all the way up to super lightweight if he really wanted to challenge himself. If he really wanted to challenge himself, he can go up to super lightweight and still make some noise. And still do the same things that he's doing now at these weight classes. Some may call me crazy for saying that, but that's just how I see it. The guy has hand speed in tandem with punching power that creates that force and velocity that can put somebody out. We'll move on to the next skill component, which is foot speed. I have rated at a 92%, which is an A- for Inoue has elite physical speed of lateral movement around the ring and ability to cut off the ring effectively. Him being a small guy, being in shape, those legs move fast. And not just because you're a small guy, you automatically move your feet fast. That's not what I'm saying, but he's able to find this guy. No one could just get away from him. If you're trying to box on the outside, he's going to find you. He's going to cut the ring off. You have to deal with Inoue when you're in the way. You have to deal with Inoue when you're in the ring with him. No matter if you're trying to, follow him and chase him around the ring, he can get away to set something back up. He's good at getting in position, getting out of position, and being effective at it. Being in front of you, getting out the way, and then in a split second right back in front of you to let off his offensive attack. Great foot speed. A- for Naoya Inoue, 92%. Next skill component we have is punch resistance, which I've rated at an 88%, a solid B. For he hasn't had any moment in his career that he's shown visible weakness to being hit by a flush shot. The only bookmark that I truly have is the Nonito Donaire fight, the first fight that they fought. Nonito Donaire Inoue. That's the only bookmark. Every other opponent that he's faced, it's been a wash. It's been a wash. He's looked good. They offered no resistance to him. So we truly haven't seen his chin tested, but he has had his jaw broke before by a 38-year-old. I rest my case there. We'll move on to the next skill pillar, which is intangibles, for I have rated at a 92% overall for Naoya Inoue. For the skill components that make up this skill pillar is head movement, anticipation / effective blocking, effective combination punches, and counter punching. The first skill component we'll rate is head movement, which I've given an 88%, a solid B, to Naoya Inoue, for he has great capabilities of slipping punches with timing and movement of the head. Next skill component we have anticipation / effective blocking, which I rated a 90%, a A-. For Inoue has elite ability to anticipate incoming punches in order to catch the shot. I give it a solid A-, a solid A-. Though I feel as if he still needs to be tested a little more, but against the guys that's been put in front of him, I believe it's fair to rank him in that elite category, to rank him with the elite guys, because his anticipation, the eye test, his anticipation it's good. He has great capabilities of catching punch. He has a great sense of awareness of what his opponent's going to do, how to anticipate and brace himself for what his opponent or whoever it is that's in front of him is offering and presenting and acting accordingly. Moving on to the next skill component, we have effective combination punches, which I rated 97%, solid A. For Naoya Inoue has the ability to throw up to 5 or 6 punches or more effectively for a connection on an opponent. He has the capability to do so. His hands move fast. His punch form is great. His punching power is great. All of those things mixed together, it makes for effective combination punches. You know, you'll see him from time to time string together 4 or 5 punches with succession, no problem. But he's calculated. He's not haphazardly throwing himself out there and leaving himself open. He's very responsible with his punches. If he throws 1 or 2, he's always thinking about getting back on defense and defending himself against any counterattack. So he's a smart guy, but the effective combination punches I rate superior. Like regardless of the competition, his resume or who he's faced, it's still superior. He has a way of freezing guys, deer in the headlights, and doing what he wants in a split second, in a fraction of a second, letting his hands go and resetting and leaving his opponent bewildered. Like, what just happened? How did I get hit with that many punches that fast? Right? Moving on to the next skill component, we have counter punching, which I rated at a 93%, a solid A-. For Inoue has the elite ability to attack immediately after opponent's opening. Period. He has a great ability to attack after those openings. Just look at that Jason Maloney fight. That's all he did. He just countered him. He countered Maloney to death until Maloney couldn't take anymore, right? Next, we'll move on to the last and fourth skill pillar, which is strategy execution, which I've rated at an 87.33% solid B for the skill components that make up this skill pillar is pace dictation, awareness of opponent strategy, and opponent weakness exploitation. The first skill component in this skill pillar I've rated, which is pace dictation, I've rated at 86%, a solid B4. Inoue has good capability to either speed up the pace of the fight or slow down the pace of the fight whilst not becoming overwhelmed and out of control. He has good pace dictation abilities. Good. It's not no higher than this solid B because of what I've been saying the whole video is strength of competition. Who's offered that resistance? In every fight I've seen him dictate the pace because those guys had no business in the ring with him. A 38-year-old Nonito Donaire is the only guy who offers some resistance. In a rematch, he made it look like how it was supposed to look the first fight. You know what I'm saying? But still, Donaire was 39 in a rematch. It's an old guy. Father Time is undefeated. It's no excuses. I'm taking nothing away from Naoya Inoue. He's an amazing fighter. On an all-time scale, I rate him high already, regardless of who he's faced. But in the department of strategy execution, pace dictation, you have to see stiffer competition for that to go a little higher. His pace dictation is good, but I need to see it up against someone who can push the pace on him. Moving forward, next skill component, we have awareness of opponent strategy, which I rated at a 85% solid B for. Naoya Inoue has decent ability to understand opponents' punch patterns, punch output, punching range, and perceived advantage. Now, at 85, some get it twisted like it's failing, or some would think that it's just outright underrated. A B is still good. A B is still good. If you get all B's in school, I have to take you back to school. If you get all B's in school, that's a 3.0. You know what I'm saying? All A's is a 3.0 in school. That puts you on the dean's list. You know what I mean? That puts you on the dean's list. You still get honored for having an 80 or above, right? Awareness of opponent strategy for Naoya Inoue, it's not terrible, it's not bad. He's looked dominant in all of his fights. But as I've been saying this whole video, I need to see that against someone who's going to push back on him. Can you figure out your opponent's strategy who's just as good as you? Until then, it's 85% for me. We'll move on to the next and last skill component of strategy execution, which is opponent weakness exploitation. And I've rated at 91%, an A-. For Naoya Inoue, he does have the ability to nullify his opponent's strengths. That's it. That's it. The punching power, the hand speed, all of the capabilities that makes him who he is. The hand speed, the punching power, the foot speed, the punch form, the footwork, you know, his boxing stance, all of that, the explosion, it nullifies his opponent's strengths. Why? Not because he has those capabilities, but because he knows how to use it. He's patient. He waits for the openings. He's smart. He knows what he's looking for. I put that in an elite category. His ability to weaken his opponent strategically, with great calculation, cerebrally. You know what I mean? I give him that elite status. It's not 100%, but it's up there. And overall, that brings us to Naoya Inoue's overall skill rating being 89.92%, which if you round it up to the nearest 10, you get 90%. For his form, is 91.50%. Physical capabilities, 88.85%. His intangibles, 92%. Strategy execution, 87.33%. You add all 4 skill pillars up, divided by 4, you get 89.92%. You round it up to the nearest 10, you get 90%. There it is. 90% overall skill set rating for Naoya Inoue. Respectfully, it's no disrespect. I'm not underrating him or anything. It's just an honest assessment, right? It's just honest, not biased, not fanboying, no fanboyism. It's just raw. It's just real. You feel me? And if you enjoyed the content, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think about this assessment, about this skill set breakdown. Share with your friends. But it's been real. I'm not gonna hold you all too much longer. It's your boy AR the Equalizer. Until next time, we out.